All right, so I wanted to talk about how so many successful men, they make a lot of money, they start up a business, they become awesome entrepreneurs, they build a personal brand, make a lot of money, have a lot of employees, and how in fact that starts to, it doesn't transfer over to dating, because one of the major things that I keep noticing with successful men that hire a lot of people and have a personal brand and a public image and have made a lot of money, is that they have to have a certain type of respectable image where they can't be seen to be doing anything bad or illegal or committing crimes or being abusive or mistreating their employees. And these same men, what will often happen is they will end up with a woman who will start to exploit their goodwill and their kindness. Because so many of these successful men, they don't want to argue and battle with their wife all the time. They don't want to come across as the bad guy. They're always trying to keep up. What is it? How can I explain this? When you look at someone like Jeff Bezos, like he had a divorce and he got totally screwed. Bill Gates got extorted as well. So many of these successful men, publicly, when you watch all of their interviews, you look at how they interact with people, they're friendly guys, they're nice people, and they try their best to avoid any controversy. But what happens is, in a personal relationship with a woman, they often get exploited. She will argue, she'll constantly try to take as much as she can. One example I would like to, one great example is the amount of times a successful man will get in a relationship with a woman and then she will start taking more and more, as in she'll start asking for more freedom, she'll start asking for more money, she'll start asking for an open relationship, she'll start getting bored with these successful men, and they won't push back as much. They don't want to argue. They're always looking for a win-win situation, but often in a relationship someone needs to be in charge, and quite often a woman is always playing politics. Always. They're always trying to play power games in their personal relationships, and quite often these successful men will end up getting exploited by their wives, and you see it over and over and over again. So what helped them to become successful and have an awesome reputation and build a great personal brand, build a lot of wealth by avoiding drama and controversy, is the same thing that their wives will, in their personal lives, exploit. I see it over and over and over again. And so this is something that a lot of successful men, and if you happen to be one of those guys, the ego's built into, oh, I'm a millionaire, oh, I've built a awesome business, I'm successful. And that ego doesn't allow them to humble themselves with arguably the most important decision they will make, which is picking the right wife. And at the end of their lives, quite often, these men, they can't take their riches to the grave. The only thing they're passing over is their seed, their children. And if they chose the wrong wife, their seed might be tainted somehow. Their wife might be bad-mouthing them. And so this is something that I think, as a society, we should be aware of, when the most successful men in our society are getting exploited quite often by sometimes narcissistic, psychopathic women, and what they're leaving behind are kind of tainted children, which is the seed of an awful woman, and then that degrades society to some extent sometimes. Now, And it's hard for these men to acknowledge that they are, when they might do a lot of vetting and do background searches and be really careful with the people they do business with, but they're not as careful with the women that they share their bedroom with, which doesn't really make sense, does it? It seems a little bit negligent, but it's more common than you might think. And that's just something that I wanted to talk about. Leave a comment, let me know what you think about that. But we were discussing this earlier. I was talking about a guy that I know who is one of Australia's most successful men. And he ended up marrying a woman who has bipolar and schizophrenia. And he is so successful in every way. Got himself a PhD. He's probably worth $500 million to $1 billion. That's how successful this guy is. Just ticks all of the boxes of a high achiever. Yet he selected a wife with mental illness, and now his sons have mental illness. And he can't take all of those things to the grave. All he's doing is leaving behind tainted, damaged children to a woman that he should never have married in the first place. And they're being left with a lot of money. And how does that degrade society? You leave people with mental illness a lot of money, and that does do some damage to society. And it happens more often than you might think. And that's something that obviously a dating coach can solve. But it's a little bit too obvious to be promoting that, but I think it would. If they were to put their egos aside and go out and get some coaching. That same guy, he divorced his wife that has schizophrenia, and then ended up remarrying a legitimate psychopath. Like a psychopathic, money-grubbing gold digger. And with kids already, would you believe it? One of Australia's most successful men just couldn't even get a decent woman after making the first mistake. And it's so common. And so that's my thoughts on that. I don't really have much else to add to that. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video.